Hello, and welcome to Director Movie Review, where if you blame Steven for getting burned, you're probably going to get hit.
Hi, this is Rank.
And this is Lou.
Welcome to our 5th episode, I believe.
Yeah, we're on number 5. Let's just get down to it. We had a little bit of sad news in the horror world. We lost an icon and directing producer. We lost Mr. Wes Craven. So for the first few minutes here, Frankie and I are going to share our memories about Wes Craven's movies and his work. And I'm actually going to go first. One of my favorite movies that Wes Craven has directed and done is the original. And I say original, even though he wasn't involved in the remake. But the original Hills Have Eyes is one of my favorites from the 70s. Frankie, what do you have?
Well, when you talk about Wes Craven, he made so many horror movies. He put horror movies on the map back in the 70s and 80s with Hills Have Eyes, The House on the Left. I believed he was in The Hitcher. He helped with The Hitcher. And then he delivered us an icon in Freddy Krueger and Nightmare on Elm Street, which produced so many sequels and really gave something different to the horror world with Freddy Krueger and his glove.
Yes.
But my favorite Wes Craven movie and of all time, it's a tie between Scream 1 and Scream 2. Those came out in the late 90s. Something different in the horror world. It was kind of fading, Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason, and Michael had their sequels, and they were getting lower and lower. And then Wes Craven came up with this idea, made Ghostface Killer, starring Neve Campbell, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, and it worked. And I enjoyed Scream 1 and Scream 2, and he helped do Scream 3, and then he came back and directed the last one, Scream 4. But my heart always belongs to the Scream 1 and Scream 2, because those are the first ones I saw as an early age, and that what got me into horror movies. So Scream 1 and Scream 2 will always be the ones that I love from Wes Craven.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. The Scream series is amazing. You can't go wrong with Freddy Krueger. His whole idea around the Freddy Krueger was amazing. And if you don't know the story about how Freddy Krueger came about, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna share it with you. Wes Craven was home by himself. He was about 10 years old, and he looked out his window, and he saw a man with a brown jacket on and a hat. And he says he remembers Wes Craven. He says he remembers this guy looking up at him and like pointing at him. And then a little Wes Craven turned away, went back to him a couple minutes later, and the guy was still standing there. And he used that later on in life to inspire the Freddy Krueger character, and that's how Freddy Krueger came about. But we wanted to just share our opinions about Craven and how we're gonna miss him, and
Yeah, he will be truly missed in the world of movies, and of course horror was his main deal, and we will miss that. And we know for sure now that hopefully there'll be no Scream 5. So it was his baby. Let it just rest.
yes.
And that's what I have to say on that.
And Wes Craven, may you rest in peace. Now let's get into what we want to talk about today. The first movie on my mind, I happen to think it's going to be a funny, hysterical type horror film, but we'll see how that goes. Tobey Maguire's in it. It's about kid zombies. It's called Cooties, and I think it's going to be hysterical. And go.
Yeah, there's this movie called Cooties out. Basically, kids get infected and they become zombies, and the parents, teachers, gym teachers have to save themselves from the kids. I don't know if it's going to theater. It might have the same day release, same digital download. I'm not sure on that, but it's going to be one of those dark comedy horror movies. I think you'll have more fun laughing at it than it is saying, oh, what do you call it? Because it's a bunch of kids being zombies and trying to eat
The adults.
the adults, teachers, parents, whatever, and the teachers are all stuck in school because of of the outbreak, so they can't leave. They have to figure out a way to fight the kids. So it's something different.
Something to enjoy. Kind of like, I guess, if you were a fan of Shaun of the Dead, this might be the movie for you.
But this is not the only comedy horror / movie coming out. There's this movie called The Krampus, I believe it's called.
Krampus, yes.
I just made Lou watch the trailer. It's for Christmas time. It's about a family gets together, big family for Christmas. None of them get along. Shortly after, in the middle of the movie, I guess the kid, we saw rip up a piece of paper written to Santa Claus and says he hates this day, and then all of a sudden the lights go out, no one's around, and we got scary horror monsters freaking the heck out of
The
the family. So yeah, this is something a little different and weird. I know this has a theatrical release going in December.
Kind of sounds like it's going to be right down the alley of Santa's Sleigh starring Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, that's what I got out of it. I don't know how many people are gonna gel with this. I don't really know if anyone's gonna like it. I'll have to watch and give it a chance. But as of right now, nothing stands out for me in that movie or the Cooties movie. I mean,
I personally
There's
think
one
Krampus
movie-
is going to be
there's-
as great as I personally think Krampus is going to be as great as Black Christmas was. We all loved that movie.
but as Lou gives his detail, there is a movie that I want to say that it is this is the third horror / comedy. This one comes out on Halloween. It's called Zombie Guide. It's a scout and guide to the zombie apocalypse. It's 3 scouts. Yes, that's right, from school. 3 scouts are in a town where it's taken over by zombies, and the only one person they have is a chick who works in a prostitute and a hooker place, and
Nice.
she's the hostess or whatever. Anyway, they have to come together. She's the tough chick, while they're the 3 scaredy cats because they're scouts, making fun of them obviously, because who's actually a scout nowadays as a man? And it's more of a comedy, but it comes in where the scouts get into it and they want to take themselves serious and kick some zombie butt. This would probably be the one out of the 3 that you probably laugh the most, just because they're teenagers. They have one is obsessed with getting laid and breasts, so it's gonna be one of those funny things. And then of course you have the hostess who works at a strip joint, who
You know what it kind of sounds like to me, Frankie?
who falls in love with one of the guys. So it's just gonna be laughs, and the way they kill people is just crazy. So it's something different. And yes, Lou, what were you gonna say?
You know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of sounds like it's going to be like a zombie version of Bushwhacked.
Yeah, yeah, that does have a ring to it. Those were on their way to a zombie, but yeah, this is different, and it's gonna cater to the more adults and teenagers because it's rated R, and yes, there's nudity in it. You perverts out there, laugh out loud.
Yes, and everybody likes a good show every now and then. Next thing I want to talk about, it's being written. I asked Frankie why when it came out. He asked me why when it came out. We couldn't explain it, but Frankie can give you a little bit more info on it. But ladies and gentlemen, if you're a fan of the series, it's good for you guys because you get to watch it. I personally wasn't. The horror genre can welcome back Jeepers Creepers as the third installment becomes into effect.
For me speaking, I don't see why. Again, these are movies that make no sense to me. I don't know how Lou feels about it. One made decent money at least.
I lost track after Justin Long, so...
Number two, I don't remember making any money, and it got very bad reviews. Again, these are just people trying to find ways just to make more sequels out of sequels, and this is not just the first movie I saw this week or the past 2 weeks. Bridget Jones' Diary 3. This one's going to be called Bridget Jones' Baby. This is, you obviously, if you know, it's Renee Zellweger, who puts on the pounds in this movie as a comedic woman from London. You know her first two movies. This time she's gonna have a baby, but again, this one I feel like they waited so long.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The second one came out in 2004. We're on 2015, but that's my opinion. And then we're getting a Mary Poppins redone, which Lou said no. Why no? Because Disney wants to, and that's what studios do. They're trying to milk anything. Obviously, you know, Disney's into this live action now. It worked for Cinderella and the Oz Great and Powerful, and they got the Jungle Book coming out. So why not try to do Mary Poppins?
And the upcoming Beauty and the Beast in 2017 should be interesting as well.
Yeah, and it's not just Beauty and the Beast. There's talks of Lion King as well. So Disney has these movies coming out. They're looking for the live action, but we talked about it last podcast. I remember we gave you the animated list of all their sequels, but they're really looking forward to is their live action. And Lou's just against Mary Poppins. Me, I could care less. I ain't watching it. It has no on me whatsoever. So I know Lou has children. If he wants to go see it with his kids, he will. Me,
I'll say this to you, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to go see Mary Poppins, I would ignore this film, and it's not even being made yet. Go out and buy the Blu-ray. And also, if you want to see more about Mary Poppins, I recommend you see Saving Mr. Banks. But off the Mary Poppins and Disney subject, because, you know, Disney already pissed me off with that information. How about we go into this Friday? This Friday,
Black Mass, ladies and gentlemen. I will be going this Saturday to see it. The Johnny Depp performance that he looks amazing at. This really could be the Oscar for him. Already they rated, one website rated it at a 7 out of 10 stars. This is the true story of Whitey Bulger. Many of you know he was a Boston mob guy, and just a true story, and worked with the FBI and all that. So I can't wait to see it. Comes out this Friday. Other movies out, you have, of course, last week open was The Perfect Guy. The only guy I know in that movie is Morris Chestnut. I cannot pronounce the woman's name. And as for the other guy, I don't know. It's a thriller movie. If you like No Good Deed, it exactly is just like No Good Deed, except there's an obsessive boyfriend. Which off. Here's the third movie that came out last week is The Visit,
which I personally want to see, because any movie that has grandparents possessed tonight sounds hysterical to me. I mean, you ask your granddaughter to jump into the oven, I kind of find that funny. I don't know.
But it's M. Night Shyamalan. M. Night Shyamalan hasn't had a hit since, I really want to say Sixth Sense, but people did watch Signs. But to me...
My lovely wife's talking about The Village.
But to me, he hasn't had a hit since The Signs. Village was horrible. After Earth was just despicably horrible. A bad casting.
Village was just weird.
And
I can agree with that.
as Lou's wife says, The Village is weird. Lady in the Water was just horrible. And he has not had a hit for a while. M. Night Shyamalan. I don't know how much this will do. It already took in 25 million. But obviously he wants to get back on track. But there's mixed reviews to this movie. So I don't know if you people want to really rush out and go see it. This more looks like one of those movies you watch on the DVD to me. If anything, everyone, Friday, it's a busy day this Friday. Like I said, it's not just Black Mask. It's Maze Runner 2, which
Yes,
I'm not
actually.
I'm not a fan of. Lou knows that movie. I do not.
First Maze Runner, like my wife is saying, it was good and it was interesting.
Come on, Lou. Your wife's talking more
I
than
don't
you
know
are.
if I would be interested in so much in the sequel to it. I don't know how many
Well,
sequels
there's
you could do
gonna-
about a man running in a bunch of kids running in a maze.
There's gonna be.
but
There's gonna be.
Running in a maze in the second one.
There's gonna be two. There's think one more or two more movies. I'm not sure.
Awesome.
All I know is what do you call it? And other movies coming out this Friday is what is it? Avalanche.
Avalanche. To me, this movie kind of, if you guys remember, I'm not too sure the year it came out. I want to say it was the early 90s, like 94. Basically, these movies about people who get stranded because of an avalanche snowstorm. They're in the mountains, and all they can do to survive is try to find out what how to survive. And I believe it turns into
Well-
like Alive, like the movie Alive.
Well, let
where
me
you're
stop you right
surviving.
there. The reason they're in the mountains is because they want to do rock climbing and go to Everest and all that stuff. But of course, bad weather, and this is from also another true story. They're gonna try to survive. You got Jake Gyllenhaal in there, Josh Brolin, some other guys that have been you people know very well. But that opens Friday as well. That's in IMAX. The week after that, because I don't think we'll have a podcast up, I'll let you know the movies are out next week, is Hotel Transylvania 2 to bring your family and kids, because that's the only kids movie of the fall and for Halloween. And I know Lou will take probably his children
Yeah,
to see
my
that.
daughter can't wait to see that. And actually, even us, that was such a great movie. It was very interesting. So what's next, Frankie?
Yeah, so I don't know much about Hotel Transylvania. I didn't see it. I don't have kids. But also opening that weekend is a movie that with Robert De Niro in a different role I've ever seen before, in The Intern with Anne Hathaway.
Comedy, yes.
It's a lighthearted comedy. Robert De Niro plays the intern of Anne Hathaway. I don't really know in what atmosphere they work at, but it looks like an all-around age group of comedy for everyone, all ages, especially adults more. But also that weekend opens the guy that made Cabin Fever and Hostile is opening his movie that he was supposed to open last year, but the studio pushed back. Green Inferno. I can't pronounce your name, man. I'm sorry. But if you saw Hostile, you saw Cabin Fever, this movie's just going to be crazy and sick. It's Green Inferno. Basically, a bunch of people, men and women, are going on an airplane into the desert. Their airplane is crash landed, and they're taken by cannibal people that eat other people,
Huh.
and they can't escape.
Kind of sounds like Wrong Turn all over again, except without the lovely and talented and hot Elisha Dushku.
The other girl was in there that was hot, but I can't say her name. The only thing I know she was actually in is Snow Day, which you were singing before.
Yeah, long story about that.
But yeah, and then if you look for the beginning of October, you have Matt Damon in that movie I don't believe what I think it's called.
The Martian.
Yeah, he's goes to Mars. Long story short, obviously it's
Something happens to him.
obviously,
and he becomes
'cause-
an alien. I think it looks interesting.
No, he doesn't become an alien. He's stuck on there, and they can't get to him for another 4 years. So he has to try to survive and try to make food and stay alive and make water on a planet that doesn't grow anything for 4 years because he cannot get another transfer a single to NASA. And then when he does in the trailer, the hard part is going back up there and getting them. A lot of people are already raving about it. It's still 2 weeks. It still has to come out in 2 weeks, but a lot of people say it's a must-watch. Matt Damon did it again. It's made by Ripley Scott, who made the first Alien.
Nice.
And Prometheus, and
Well, when you put it like that, Frankie, it sounds like Castaway but on a different planet.
yeah, but this
Except we're
is,
missing Wilson.
well, yeah, but this is a little different than Castaway. But yeah, speaking of Tom Hanks, I don't know if we talked about this. He's in a new movie also in October called The Bridge of Spies.
No, and what's that one?
He's a accountant lawyer who gets represented to defend I can't say what is it, a spy for a country, and he has to go to the I think it's Germany or Russia. I didn't see much of the trailer, so you can't blame me on this one. But it's directed by Steven Spielberg, so Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks are back together again.
Well, Steven Spielberg never has a bad hit. Let's just pull a Charlie Sheen line here and say he's still winning with Jurassic World.
Yeah, but he didn't direct it.
He still had a lot to do with it. If it wasn't for Steven Spielberg, it wouldn't be a Jurassic anything. So we gotta give the credit to him.
Still, in the end of the day, it was the real people who made Jurassic World what it is, and especially the cast and crew. Chris Pratt and Ron Howard's daughter made one hell of a movie that they're gonna do the sequel.
Yes.
Yes, it's been casted. They will be back for the sequel, and we talk about we talk about other movies, but we also got Spider-Man news. The weird thing about Spider-Man is now they're not even putting him in a movie. First, they're putting him in the Captain America movie that comes out before Spider-Man, so you get a view of him, which makes no sense because they're already putting Ant-Man in it as well, as long with Iron Man. They're throwing too many characters into it, too many fast. They're trying to now. It's become now a big competition with DC, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
Next year it's DC's year with Suicide Squad and Batman.
versus Superman.
So, that's a Marvel for you. Of course, I like some Marvel movies, but they're getting too much into trying to jam everything into one movie.
Now, we're going to be heading out in a couple minutes, folks, but I saved this for last because I want to surprise Frank with it on the podcast. Kind of put him on the spot here. I know it's one of his favorite franchises, but I read the other day that it could be getting a reboot, and I want his opinion about it. The Lethal Weapon series might get a whole different turn. I read the other day. New Line Cinema will be taken over instead of Warner, which is same company, but it's going to New Line. Frankie, your opinion about this, if Lethal Weapon should be rebooted?
Well, one, I never heard about it. Two, I think it's complete garbage. I saw the Point Break trailer, and that speaks for itself. It's completely garbage how they made Point Break, the remake. If they do Lethal Weapon, it's just going to be horrible. I mean, say what you want about Mel Gibson, but he nailed...
Can't touch him with those movies.
He nailed it with the Crazy Cop and Danny Glover, the perfect pair. So that's what I have to say on that. I just hate movies like that being remade, and I don't think it'll happen.
Well,
because they've been saying the Lethal Weapon 5 for like 10 years now.
True.
And who the hell knows on that?
Well, listen, let's also give credit to one more person from the Lethal Weapon series, because with him, everything's got to be fucking nautical. You got to give credit to Joe Pesci. No one's ever going to play that role ever.
Yeah, he debuted in the second one, and he returned for the third and fourth, and he really is one of the mainstay of that movie. He brings the comedy more with Riggs and Murtaugh, and
Brought the best out of him.
second one's my favorite.
But that's pretty much all we got for today, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, I'm Lou.
I'm Frank. We're out of here. Have a nice one.
Yep, and that's a wrap.